Welcome to the Raising Global Leaders interview series. Today I have with me the incredible Alan Willett. He is an author of Leading the Unleadable. He is a father, a speaker, and a husband. Thank you for joining us here today.
It's terrific to be here.
I'm so excited to interview you. So I know that your kids were homeschooled. So can you tell us how old your kids are?
Certainly. 17, 22, and 26.
Awesome. So for us homeschool parents, we have parents that are watching that are homeschool parents, and we also have parents that send their kids to educational institutions and they supplement their education at home. So you're letting us know that there is hope on the other side.
Oh, absolutely. We're lifelong homeschoolers, but the main thing is to really love your kids and do the best you can for them in the world. So.
Absolutely. Well, before I jump into some questions about your book, can you tell me how you went from becoming a software engineer to management to now a global voice on leadership?
Oh, fascinating question. I'll tell you something I don't think I told many people. So it turns out I must be good at organizing and leading people. I remember way back when I was just a young teenager, there was summer camps, like basically, where I was going and I was taking care of the younger kids. And every year I got promoted. This group of kids came with me. They got a year older and I was with them. A year older, I was with them. And I finally said, hey, why do I always have the same group of kids? Oh, those kids are horrible. You're the only ones that does great with them. So Leading the Unleadable. I just thought they were really, really energetic. I loved it. So later on, I went to school for computers and computer programming in the late 70s, early 80s. And within 6 months of being out of college, into my job, I was leading a large group of people. Some of them were 50 years old on down. And I asked my manager, I said, manager above, I said, when do I get to write code? I'm so busy, I can't do programming. He said, as soon as you finish fixing all the people problems, you can write code.
Wow.
So I haven't fixed all the people problems yet, but I'm still working on it. So
That's awesome.
that's how I ended up in management. I think it was just in me to organize and lead. And so I've been doing that the whole time.
That's awesome. So it was just naturally a part of who you are, and
Yes.
that came out.
Yes, and I have also worked very hard on it. I've studied a lot. I read a lot, obviously. And I really do work very hard at it. But there is an innate part of me that really enjoys working with passionate people that really want to make a difference in the world. And those are often the hardest to lead.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you expand on that a little bit? Can you explain to us who the unleadable are? I know we all have ideas in our minds. Like for me, my unleadable person in my life is my 3-year-old who thinks she's in charge of everything. But how do you define unleadable?
Oh, okay. Well, unleadable people really are the ones that are pushing boundaries in a lot of ways. Like your 3-year-old. She's absolutely at the boundary pushing stage. And it's delightful. But even in any organization, any people you're leading, my belief is the subtitle of the book is, let's see, Leading the Unleadable. What's it called? Managing Mavericks, Cynics, Divas, and Other Difficult People.
Yes.
To me, all of those bring great gifts, amazing gifts, and you need all those gifts. The problem comes when they cross a red line and it becomes disruptive to the organization. Like Mavericks are people that do not accept the status quo. They're always pushing for better. They're really going to bounce into the boundaries and see if they can break through them. I bet I'm looking at a Maverick right now. Just an idea. So, and you want Mavericks, but when Mavericks cross this red line where they start to, if you go into an organization, for example, and see some things wrong, what you're going to see anytime you go into an organization, there's going to be things not quite right. But when they completely ignore the history, when they don't know that the people there are already working to solve problems, et cetera, they just totally disrespect the history, the past, and the work being done.
Yeah.
They start to make people rightfully angry. They're actually doing harm to the organization. So even though the Maverick attitude is great, they cross the red line. Mm-hmm. They're actually breaking things. So you need to bring them back over the red line. You don't want to lose the gift. You want them to push on the things that are wrong. You want them to help make it better. But when they cross that red line, can I do another one? Cynics?
Yes, absolutely, please.
Because a lot of people think that I'm like, what do you mean the cynics have gifts? Cynics have great gifts. The way I look at it is this. Some of us have really lots of ideas. Mm-hmm. And some of these ideas are like castles built in the sky. Are you one of these people? So, big, bold, beautiful vision. We need cynics to keep us grounded so it doesn't just float away in the cloud. Because absolutely, there's real deal concerns about any of the blue sky ideas we have. And you need people that are grounded and say, well, what about these aspects? Did you consider the foundations? Did you consider that, if it's a hot air balloon, that you actually need a way to get back down? Things like that. These are really good. And a lot of times what the cynics are that cross the line, they do see the holes in ideas. They see the problems, but they don't see the value in them. And I think a lot of times it's because they've been burned so many times by trying to implement things that they try to keep themselves from being disappointed. But they start, what I see, where the red line really gets crossed, and I've seen this too many times, where the cynics are really charismatic. They're good at it. And they have these really sharp, witty things to say about the new idea somebody comes up with. It like pops the balloon. It doesn't even get off the ground. And anybody else that has an idea, they do not want to be subjected to that sharp wit. And it starts to flatten the organization, kill the attitudes. Again, the leader has to channel that energy into the right place at the right time. You can't allow that to infect the rest of the team.
Right. Okay, so what about divas?
I love divas. Divas care deeply about their project, their area. They want it to have all the best things. You know what I mean? They want it to be all about them, all about their project. And actually, if I'm going to give somebody a project, I want them to own it. I want them to push it. I want them to make that project successful. So again, great attitude unless it crosses a red line, where you actually start to stamp on other people's projects, other people's ideas. When you don't do collaboration across the projects to make all the projects better. So yes, I love divas too. I love passion. All three of these types that we just talked about, I love them. They really bring some great things. It's just when they cross the red line that we have to bring them back in. And then my book talks about really, a lot of the techniques are all the same. When I was writing this book, I was like, how do you treat a Maverick, Diva, Cynic? I was like, oh, you do this for a Maverick. Oh, it's the same thing for a Cynic. Oh, it's the same thing for people. You really respect the people. You make sure they understand where the boundaries are, just like parenting. Here's the line. This is the line. They're going to go across that line 3 or 4 times before they realize you're serious. And then they realize they respect that line. That's what parenting is. That's what leadership is. You got to do the same thing. And you're doing it with grown-ups. It's okay. You're the leader. Do it with grown-ups.
Absolutely. Well, I love that the first response that you give is to paint these negative labels in a positive light, like the diva, the cynic, the maverick, that to point out that they have gifts. I've never looked at it from that perspective or that point of view before. And so I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's just like troublesome kids in my summer camp. I didn't think they were troublesome. I thought they were energetic.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I just have a defect that way. But no,
Awesome.
I love people, and I think they're all awesome. So.
Yeah. So what do you do when you have a diva, a cynic, and a maverick, and they're all in the same type of group?
Oh, you got all three of them? Wow, what a great team you have. No, think about it. If you actually have all three of them, they're all strong personalities. Okay, maybe it's a little bit like dynamite or nitroglycerin, but it's very, very powerful. What are you going to do as a leader? I want to turn the question around on you, but I guess I'm supposed to be the interviewee, huh?
Right.
Okay. So here's sort of the outline in the book, but really a lot of people talk about how do you react when things go wrong. But I would like to talk about prevention first.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Okay. So like with parenting, it's okay to cross over, right?
Absolutely. The audience is parents.
Okay, great. Because with parenting, one of the things my wife and I did, fortunately, really, really young and early, before we had kids, we really talked about what values we wanted to instill. And that was our guiding light, where we headed. We had a 50-year plan. We've actually achieved that. Now we got to figure out our next 50-year plan. But so that's another story. But what are the values we want to instill? What are where are the boundaries? Where are the rules that we have in place? Now, of course, having kids changes all that, but it was about the same. And I think that's the same when you're leading teams, organizations. You have to know what you're about. So I do mostly high-tech organizations, so I'm going to use that as an example. So one is, we have to be clear about the goal we're headed toward with our teams. So if it's the Mavericks, Divas, and Cynics there, it's easy for them to get fighting if you don't have a mountain for them to climb. If they have a really big, hairy, scary goal that everybody buys into, their fights will be about how to get to the top. And we as leaders can keep those fights to be constructive. And we can assign them roles that we expect them. You can make the roles fit the kid. Like, I'll tell you one of the things we've done, which might be interesting for you. So I'm talking about adults now, but I don't want to downsize it to kids. So for adults, it really is like, if it's the Maverick, I'm going to make the Maverick responsible for the logistics of getting up the mountain. Okay? I want them to be pushing the boundaries. What's the fastest way up? Making sure we have the ropes, etc. The way to get there. The Cynics, I want them to be looking at any possible thing that could go wrong and be poking at that, because climbing these mountains is dangerous.
That's really good.
Divas, I'm going to make sure they have all the best things for us. I want the best food, the best nutrition, etc. if we're climbing a mountain. If we're doing a project, same thing. I want them to be owning different parts of it, coming to their natural tendencies.
Yeah.
So vacations, you have 3 kids?
I have 3 and 1 on the way.
Okay, soon to be 4. So vacations can be a really stressful thing. Especially with young kids, especially if they have some very, very children, which we had various kinds. So one of the things we did for vacations is, before we started, we would all say what our goals are. What do you want on this vacation? What do you want to do? How do you want to do this? What are the things that'll make you happy? By the way, even 2 or 3 year olds, we get them to say that. We get them to talk about it. And so then we said, okay, if somebody really wanted to make sure they did something, we made sure that was part of the plan. We got excited. And then we also gave people roles on the trip. Doesn't matter what age. Like one of our kids actually has special needs, but we made him responsible for all the suitcases. He had a picture of all the suitcases and all the things. So when we're traveling, he would always make sure we had all of our stuff. Our daughter, who still couldn't do math, was responsible for our budget. We gave her a book with stickers that had our daily budget for things. And they, because, by the way, when she's 26 now, I don't like, I feel awkward talking about her publicly, but I'm doing it. Back then, she often had to buy me something, buy me something, buy me something.
Mm-hmm.
So we made her responsible for the budget, so she knew when she could spend money.
Yeah.
When we could spend money. So each of us had a role. We also had a cheerleader. And their assignment was, if we got lost, if we were desperately in a bad situation, like flat tire or whatever, they were the cheerleader. They were supposed to say, "What an adventure!" And this really worked, by the way. It really got everybody involved. And I remember once we were, I think Disney World in the Florida part, and my wife and I were exhausted after some long day trip, and we were wanting to go out to eat. We did not want to cook in the hotel again. And our daughter said, "We don't have budget for that." We were like, "You're right, we don't."
That's awesome.
A little book open. We don't have budget for that. So there's the other thing as a leadership. If you're going to make some rules, you're going to follow them. So.
Yes, that's awesome. I love that. And I can really see how those 3 personality types together can really benefit a team. So what happens if you have a team of where you have a diva or a maverick or a cynic, and you have a group of people that they're working with, and maybe they're even being led by somebody that is not as strong a personality as they are.
Okay.
How can you work with a cynic or a maverick or a diva if you're more of a calm, don't really put a whole lot of energy into the project type of person? If you're just kind of,
if you're a low-key person and,
yeah,
and you end up with a cynic or a diva on your team, and they cross the red line, I'm assuming. They're being disruptive. They're being problematic. Okay. So that's the most popular chapter in my book, I think. Where is it? Let's see. Sorry about this. Yes, chapter 5, Transforming the Troublesome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's outlined here, but really, this is what I really say. One of I think the hardest things people have is to give people feedback.
Yeah.
And especially to give people feedback that leads to a positive difference. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to make it harder. Give people feedback that leads to a positive difference, and they say thank you.
Yeah.
And you don't get quote unquote shot in the process. I have a high bar for this. So I actually, the whole chapter I was on that, but I'll kind of outline it now. The first thing, I really think there's some steps that have to be done before you give the person feedback. And after you do this for a while, you can do it in 60 seconds. But sometimes it takes you a week to get ready. Because usually by the point you want to give somebody feedback, I've seen people get feedback, by the way, before, where they all of a sudden they've been taking it, get fed up, and they explode.
Mm-hmm.
It does not lead to a positive difference. It makes things worse. The person that exploded feels bad. The other person feels worse. And nothing positive came of it. So the first time a lot of people take this on, I've had multiple people call me about this, and I've helped them through it. I said the first thing you got to do is figure out what your emotions are and why you're feeling them.
Yeah.
And get rid of them. Because a lot of times there's some judgment associated with that. And here's the key thing. If you're leading a project or you're taking care of your kids, etc., people don't mean to cause you or the project harm. And a lot of times you feel like you're being attacked as a leader. You feel like they are, and by the way, they may be doing harm to the project. But almost certainly they don't know, or they don't know a different way to do it. They're actually trying to be helpful. Even if everybody else around them is angry, they still think they're doing the right thing. So we got to get rid of our judgment, because we don't know what's going on. I want to be clear. We don't really understand the other person's motivation. So I say, identify why you're feeling these things. Identify what judgments you might be having. Get rid of the judgments, and set up a space where you can give the person feedback. And prepare your feedback so you can give that feedback in less than 3 minutes. I actually think you should be able to do it in less than a minute. Because it really comes down to this. I give examples in the book. I'll make one up here. Hey, look, it's I asked you to clean your room. I asked you 5 times. You said 5 times. What's going on for you?
Yeah.
And then you wait. On the projects, you've made these commitments. You're not doing these commitments. What's going on for you? It's really, do you notice I'm calm? I'm concerned. If I could, by the way, add to it if I wanted to. We want to sell our house, and this is doing harm to our ability to do so. So I am actually really upset about this. But what I'm most concerned about is that you said yes, and you're not doing it. So I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then the really big thing is being able to say really clearly what your concern is. Be really explicit about what you were expecting, what you see happening, and ask what's going on.
Yeah.
And then wait and listen and find out. I've had a range of things that have happened there. One person once started crying and told me he was going through a really difficult divorce, and he was keeping it a secret. And now he was going to apologize to everybody. He did go apologize to everybody, and everybody helped him. And he became a stellar contributor to the project, and everybody was also becoming much more friends with him and helping him. Wow. Another person was given feedback, essentially that he was being really difficult to work with, that he was being angry with everybody. What's going on with you? And he had an angry reaction I coached somebody else to give that person feedback. Angry reaction. And he said, I just want to know, think about it, talk to me on Monday. Person came back on Monday, he said, I thought about it. I was doing this at home too. I got to figure it out. I apologize. I'll do better.
Wow.
So, yeah. And only once out of 100 times of doing this kind of feedback did I get somebody say, Alan, you're right. I haven't done it. And I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to clean my room. And I'm like, at least it was in the open. Yeah. It was clear now. Okay. Well, no, don't say yes anymore. tell me no, I'm not going to clean my room and we'll deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that last question that you ask is so important. Like, what's going on with you? It really, like, it's an initiative starter for the person to really be introspective and to look at, okay, what is going on with me? How am I feeling? And really start to analyze that. So that's awesome. And
Right.
especially right now when people are so, it's so easy to get defensive, both in our professional and our personal lives, that we don't often stop to think about how we feel. We just want to defend our position.
Right. So yeah, you have feelings. There's a reason for those feelings. Like if a project is behind schedule, etc., it is possibly doing harm to your career. It's possibly doing harm to other people around. And then if it's really important to the customers, there's reasons why you can be upset, and outlining them is really important. So
Absolutely.
so recognize the emotion, but by recognizing it, you can set it aside and focus on the care of the other person.
Right, right. So, Alan, what do you think is the most important leadership trait that we should implement in our kids today to help them become the leaders of tomorrow?
Love.
Love. Okay. Explain, please.
Oh, I think it's self-evident. No, okay, I'll be serious. Um, well, here, the underlying thing I was just telling about the whole feedback thing. It's
Mhm.
really based on an innate belief that people are good and people intend to do good in the world. I think there are some rare exceptions, but they are too rare to make that be your standard operating procedure.
Okay.
So I really do believe that people can focus and say, look at these people that are having a hard time, that are doing difficult things. As a parent, let's ask them, what could be going on in those people's lives to make them behave in this way that looks like it's really harmful and bad? How is it harming themselves when they're doing harms to others?
Yeah.
Um, in my work in high tech environments, there's a lot of really hard pressure that's applied to people. These are multi-million-dollar projects. There's a lot riding on them. So people are under intense pressure. And what I try to remind people is that when leaders or others are acting badly or acting irrationally, it's usually because they're under irrational pressure.
Yeah.
So to me, one of the things we have to do in our jobs and as in parents is to remain human, remain grown-ups, and respect that we're all on this journey together, on this little rock around that really big sun out there, on this part of the spiral arm of the galaxy,
Yeah.
and know that we're here to do good in the world, and to take a breath when we see these things, and really just respect that the others are also living this hard life trying to figure out the best way to get through. So I think love is really one of the most strongest leadership attributes people can have. I don't think I've said that in any other interviews, but I'm talking to parents. I think this is, and you asked the very question, what can we teach our children? And I think we can really teach our children to love and respect other people. If they can learn that deeply, they will be fantastic leaders, because the love and respect will come back to them.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Thank you for that. So on your site, you have two different guides. You have building a mindset for exceptional leadership, and then you have the exceptional leaders field guide. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what other projects that you're doing?
Sure. Let me see. The mindset of exceptional leadership is just a short little thing. Do I have one handy? I don't think so. It's about this size. This is the other one, the exceptional 100 plus questions. So, but they're little and they're free. The printed version costs a little bit of money, but they're free on the website. And I think one of them's on Kindle too. So anyways, they're really both just little free things to help figure out how to do some key things. the mindset is really about just what I think are 7 key mindsets that really defines the difference between good and exceptional. And the difference between good and exceptional is really very dramatic. Um, and exceptional can start actually before you're good, because the exceptional journey is choosing to say, hey, you know what? Life is messy, but my focus is to do good in the world. My focus is to learn and conduct experiments and keep getting better at doing good in the world. That's it in a nutshell. The 100+ questions is more for the high-tech world, if you will, but it's really focused on how to stop just asking questions about schedule, but focus on what are we doing for our customer? What are the approach? Are we taking the right approach to go after those things? Have we thought of the smartest way to do it? Have we thought of other alternatives to go after this? Those are what those 2 books are. The project I'm working on right now is Leading with Speed. I'm going to, after we're done with our interview, I'm going to go back to writing. I have a deadline of May 15th for finishing my manuscript. It's going to be published January 2020. I'm really excited about this book because it's really about how to lead yourself to really the clock speed of our world has sped up so much. Mm-hmm. And it keeps on going exponentially faster. How do we as a leader maintain our balance, our sanity, and help organizations and individuals go at this pace and still maintain the love of life and the love of others and getting really great things done? So that's the underlying theme of the book. Since it's high tech, I don't talk about the love part that much. Maybe I should more, but I had another publisher sort of X out those parts, so I don't know. We'll see. So anyways, that's what I'm up to.
That's awesome. Well, where can we find you? Where can we find your book, Leading the Unleadable, and how can we get connected so that when Leading with Speed comes out, we can be the first ones to buy?
Okay. Well, alanwillett.com, AlanWillett.com is my website, and it's all up there all the time, keeping things going. I'm told I need to tweet more someday. I might do that if I understand what Twitter is ever about. But anyways, alanwillett.com is the key. I do have a newsletter that's free that comes out just about every week that has little nuggets that's about this long, about mindset for really how to get people to come along with you on our exceptional, exciting journeys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alan, for allowing me to interview you today. We are so blessed and honored to have your wisdom and insight. And I appreciate you allowing me to interview you and asking you all these questions. Thank you.
Delightful time. Say hi to your family for me.